the reason that's disastrous is because if I work at Intel and I thought that Microsoft was my software partner, after that announcement, I think maybe I need to go and consider doing something with Android or another software partner. If I work at Dell and I was waiting for Microsoft, and I'm thinking maybe I can go ahead and jump on top of Android because Microsoft's not doing any favors. And the same with HP. I just think that to the extent their ecosystem was powerful, they drastically undermined it there. And to the extent that that their power is in the enterprise, the fact that they can't ship a tablet means that they're allowing the iPad to establish itself as the enterprise standard tablet, and that is happening in thousands of companies every month. Every month that goes by, there's another ton of companies that are bringing the iPad in. Once it's in, it's not leaving. And every rich person and every powerful person I meet has an iPad. So here's the issue, right? How powerful is Microsoft's hold going to be if the CIO likes them, but the owner of the company has an iPad and the CEO has an iPad? At this point, I just think they're going to be chiseled away, and the only useful thing they could really do is ship a good product, which they haven't done. Or if you don't have a good product, say nothing, because at least if they say nothing, you know, they don't confirm with everybody in the marketplace that they really are toothless in this case. So that's why I think it's weak. As for the question of can there be another one, well, I mean, the logical candidate to be the second device is an Android tablet, and everybody's been waiting for it. I've got guys in labs that have been banging away and testing Android tablets for 2 years. And all I would say is that the first, 5 times we tried, it was just unstable. And by unstable, I mean, you're trying to paint a screen with a sophisticated image. You move your hand this way. If the chip doesn't process fast enough, you move to here, it didn't change. You move back, it moves. You move back, it goes this way. And the multi-touch interface can't track your hand. So if it can't track your hand, the man-machine interface fails. There is this concept of engineering stability. If you cannot react fast enough, the mechanism fails on its own. And that's been one prevailing problem. I think, by the way, that the fact that Google is shipping their own device is sort of a grudging recognition that they have to do an integrated device. And that, of course, is crippling. I mean, it's a crippling recognition, because if it is, it reduces dramatically the number of potential competitors to Apple. So that's why it's such a dangerous observation for the industry and such a disruptive possibility. But I take you back to basic computer science, and some of you are computer scientists, you know this, and some may not know it so viscerally. But with any piece of software, you write it in C++ or some basic language. You try to access, if you write it and access the native tool set of the operating system and the hardware to run faster. If it still doesn't run fast enough, you want to rewrite certain of your routines in machine code for a given chip, either for the graphics processor chip or for the CPU, and ultimately you put it in firmware. And so if you have control of all those things, you have all those options at your disposal. And we know for a fact that Apple had to do that to make the device work. Steve Jobs said early on in one of his press conferences, he said, we actually did the iPad first, but then we put it on the shelf because we couldn't get it to work in a stable fashion, so we went to the iPhone. And if you look at the two, the obvious thing is the iPhone has 1/6 of the screen real estate. Your chip could be you could have 15% as much power and make an iPhone stable. And again, with a 7-inch form factor, you can have a chip that's only 35% as powerful and make it stable. The early iPad, it didn't have enough power to actually drive the screen and use it at the same time. The first iPad was defective in that way. So they've always struggled with enough horsepower to make that stable. And it's possible that you can't do it without coding certain parts of the operating system into the chip, and so you really need a very tight integration. That's kind of what Google's telling you with their move, and it's kind of what Microsoft is telling you with their actions, and Apple's been saying that all along. And of course, given the fact that no one in the universe has actually created an effective 10-inch tablet other than Apple, nobody else has got any credibility in this market.
Thank you for writing the book. My first question is, where is the e-book? Because I saw your speech in Miami, and basically you were very clear that books are dead, they're dead weight. So where is the version? And secondly, can you describe for us your current view on the Facebook integration with mobile and how fast and strong that's going to happen, and also for their business model?
Yeah, I think with regard to ebook, you can get the book on Kindle, on a Nook, and in the iBook store right now. It is kind of an irony that I'm handing out physical books, but on the other hand, if you didn't show up, I think that the marketing activities of booksellers haven't caught up, so it's not easy to figure out how to gift you an ebook yet. I'm trying to figure out that sort of thing, and then the ritual of signing books isn't quite the same. But if we got to we're riding the mobile wave, and maybe we're in year 2. If we were done with it, there would be no physical book, but then there'd be no point to writing the book either. So that's the other part of the irony. So I kind of have to live in the transition in the meantime. But the book's fully available electronically, and I apologize for burdening you with the weight of one. It's not lost upon me that when you're on a business trip and someone hands you a book, you know, it's only a half favor because you have to schlep it back. And what's interesting is people get to the point where you're like, Mom, is it really worth the wait, or can I just chuck the book? Which is interesting to me. I don't have a good answer for you, except for the fact that I just think it is ironic and amusing. I don't think books are long for the world. I think more than half the revenue in the book business is now ebooks. I just think that we need to make some progress with how do you sign an ebook, or how do you market or give away an ebook, and maybe there's some certain rituals people got to figure out. With regard to Facebook's mobile strategy, look, Facebook has 500 million mobile users, and Facebook is a killer app for mobile because everybody wants to see where their friends are, and they want to upload their photos and see what their photos their friends are uploading. So there's been a synergistic relationship between Google, Apple, and Facebook, right? Because they're all driving each other. They all need each other, right? In a way. On the other hand, the Facebook application experience is also a reminder of something else that's important to mobile. The Facebook application on an iPhone was built in HTML5, and it's one of the slowest applications to run on the iPhone. It's very slow. And the network is powerful, but the app is slow, and because the app is slow, they actually created a service deficiency, and into that deficiency, I think 2 companies have leaked. One obvious one, Twitter. I think to a certain extent Twitter is successful because Twitter only has 5% of the functionality of Facebook, and therefore it runs fast. And actually, you know, a good focus group is like your 16-year-old niece. I have a 16-year-old niece, and I sit with her and I say, you know, what do you use? She goes, oh, I use Facebook, I like Instagram, I like Twitter. And I said, what do you like Twitter? She goes, Facebook is too slow. It's too slow. So I said, so you create 3 social networks? She goes, basically, yeah. She basically creates a group of Twitter followers, a group of Instagram followers, and a group of Facebook followers. And it's because if you launch the Facebook app, you know, and it takes like a minute or 2 minutes to load, you go crazy. Right? So one lesson I beat in the heads of all my engineers is, it's got to be fast. Fast, fast, fast. 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. If you take 30 seconds, I'm a dinosaur, it's done. You're dead, dead, dead. So in fact, the success of Instagram, which went from nothing to 25 million people, you could attribute primarily to the fact that the Facebook mobile application was slow, and if they'd coded that in Objective-C, native to the Apple platform, right, then they might not have left the door open like that. There's a certain degree of like programmer pride, and sometimes it gets in the way of doing the right thing. I would say in the mobile world, you know, you can't really cling to all these backward compatibility, cross-platform compatibility things. Sometimes you have to do whatever it takes in order to make it run wicked fast. Otherwise, you just don't have an offering at all. So that's what I think. I think the result is Facebook is rewriting that entire app, and they'll release something which is much faster. They also released a product called Camera, which was an Instagram competitor. I think that over time you may see that you'll see like there's a whole set of apps that run on mobile devices, all of them integrate into the Facebook universe. So instead of thinking about a single monolithic client, like what, if I want to upload, like you take a photo of me and you want to upload it to your friends on Twitter, you take a photo, you tweet, it's done. If you take a photo of me and you launch Facebook, it starts looking for all your friends and their locations and loading all their news feeds and then synchronizing your friend directory and then it loads all your friend requests and it does all this other stuff, has nothing to do with uploading my photo, and you're waiting for the little compass to spin. And then I walk away and you miss it, you know? So to a certain degree, too much functionality kills you. And that's a mobile thing. In a world where you put like this massive processor with a big fan spinning underneath your desk that sucks up all this wall power, you can get away with that kind of kludginess. But you just can't get away with it when you got to load the thing in your pocket and run it on a battery before you walk through the door. Yeah.
Getting back to the essence of this conference, business intelligence, how will the mobile wave contribute to the wishes of many managers that want to have their business data yesterday and very relevant?
How is it impacting business managers who want their data relevant and yesterday? Yeah, I think we've learned a lot since we launched our first mobile product. I became a believer that business intelligence was going to migrate from the web ecosystem to the mobile ecosystem with the advent of the Apple III's, or the iPhone 3S. Do you remember that phone? Before that, there were iPhones, but they were kind of toys. They didn't have cut and paste. And there were all these like fundamental things you couldn't do with them. And there was this point where it flipped, and all of a sudden it became this handheld mobile computer. And that was about early 2009 or mid 2009, I guess. We shipped our first product in July 2010. And here's what we observed. You can access reports via an iPad or via an iPhone 10 times easier. The interface is 10 times easier when you get to mobile, and it's ubiquitous. You've got it with you all the time. So first you've got ease of use and ubiquity, and those are two values. And those were the obvious ones. And so presumably if you were to port anything, if you were to port a 500,000 page PDF file, you would get some of that value. And that's a pretty good value. Walking around with 500,000 pages at your fingertips and it weighs like an ounce or nothing, that kind of beats stacks of green bar reports. So that was a plus. But then there were two unintended effects, things that we didn't quite anticipate, but they evolved. One of them was the enthusiasm that people began to embrace multimedia with. So when you print out a report of every item that's out of stock at a Walmart, and there's 2,000 Walmart stores, there's 100,000 items, there's this 200 million line report, and it's normally got the SKU number 99-4732 is out of stock. Yeah? That's what you do on paper. Well, in the iPad or the iPhone world, you print out the out-of-stock report, no one knows what that thing is, and so the most natural thing in the world is to say, put a picture there. So in the iPhone world, you put a picture. You couldn't print the picture on green bar paper, either because the printers don't print it, or because the report would have been 82 million pages. Right? You couldn't fit it. So business intelligence before mobile was conformed to columnar reporting and the efficient use of paper, because the dirty secret in the pre-mobile world is 90% of all information is consumed on paper, not consumed on the web or Windows all. Right? So business intelligence before mobile was not interactive. What you have before about a year ago, 2 years ago, is before the mobile age, was you have this triumvirate. You have the executive, the powerful person, you have the analyst, and you have the clerk. Call that the holy trinity of business intelligence in the pre-mobile era. And what happens is the executive walks in and barks an order to the analyst, tell me what's going on in all the stores, and I want to know what's out of stock. And the analyst sits at the cubicle, and they start working, and they run these reports, and they get the result, and they hit a button, print, and they print out 10 pages, or 20 pages, or 5 pages, or 100 pages. And they walk up and they hand it to their boss, quivering, whatever, and the boss looks and asks them questions, blah, 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 what about this, what about that? They go back, they do it again, and then the boss circles a bunch of stuff, and then writes something down, and then calls for their clerk. And they say, I want you to adjust all these inventory levels, change all these prices, cancel all this, get me a meeting. There's stuff that the executive does as a result of the condition of the world. And so maybe that's go to SAP and pump a bunch of orders in the system. Maybe it's like call on the phone and I say, fire these 3 people, right? Get rid of that store manager. Maybe I call the vendor, I say, cut back, I don't want 50,000 gallons of Clorox, I want 25,000 gallons of Clorox. But the point is, you didn't have all these things together. With the mobile wave, when it hit business intelligence, the store manager or the merchant just said, give me the iPad. On Saturday afternoon, I go and I watch my kid play soccer. I whip out the iPad. I look at the results for the week ending. I calculate the out-of-stock stuff. I just bypass the analyst. And then you hit a button, you say, well, calculate the reorder rate or calculate the optimal inventory. And the most natural thing in the world is to say commit, submit. And so you've automated out the clerk and you've automated out the analyst and you've just got the one important person. Because the important person can't disappear. Right? They're the decision maker. And by the way, that important person might be the owner, might be the CEO, might be the customer. Right? Might be some rich dude over there. Might be a store manager, who knows what it is. But in that world, mobile applications become one part intelligent, or the classic reporting, and one part multimedia. That thing is out of stock. What is it? Oh yeah, it's a leather jacket with fur trim and taupe. Show me a picture. Show me another picture. Show me a model wearing it down the runway. Have her spin around. And everybody would like that a lot more than to see the SKU number. Okay, show me every mortgage that's overdue in the bank. Okay, here they are, 1,900 mortgages with the tax ID code. Okay, well, show me the place on Google Maps. Now show me the house on Google Street View. Now show me the street corner. Right, that's easy to do in mobile. Right, and as you can imagine, if you're actually trying to figure out why the house is not paying the mortgage, or what property I own, show me everything that I own. Show me everything that's at risk. Show me a picture. Play me the song. Show me every single piece of music that didn't sell. Okay, play it. Sounds like shit. Right? The point is, you can't do that with a piece of paper. You can do that with an iPad. And of course, you would do it because it's more powerful for you. It changes scope of control, right? Why do I have to have 500 merchants in a supermarket? Well, because no one merchant can remember all 37,000 SKU codes. But now maybe I can. Maybe I can micromanage. Maybe I can drill down and get myself involved. Right? That's one possibility. The other thing is, so I'm a 19-year-old clerk. I just got hired. I don't know what the heck is going on. Okay, I'm supposed to restock SKU number 92-4. I just started yesterday. What is that? Show me the picture. So what we're moving toward is a world of empowerment. We're eliminating training. We're getting instant access. If you can make the product multimedia and sexy and easy enough, you can give it to anybody. Well, maybe if I can create a product which shows you a picture of or create a software product which shows you a picture of the product to reorder, I don't need to give it to the merchant, I can give it to the store manager. But if I give it to the store manager, what if I just give it to the customer? If I give it to the customer, maybe I'm Amazon. Oh, wow, shit. Now you understand Amazon. Build something powerful enough, and I just bypass every middle person. Why give an application to a salesperson if I can give it to the doctor? And maybe I just give it to the patient or the patient's mother. And so that's really the mobile wave. When I talk about software as vapor, right? Once software is vapor, maybe it goes to you, but maybe it goes through you. Right? Maybe it just goes to the guy behind you. And it goes all the way up the supply chain. And that's the massively disruptive effect, right, that's going on. That's what Amazon is doing to take $30 billion of revenue from Walmart and Best Buy and Lowe's and Home Depot and shift it. Right? And at the same time, that's kind of what Apple's doing, to take their billions of dollars of revenue from Amazon. And what you've got is just a set of very, very aggressive attackers, innovators, who are attacking on every dimension as hard as they can. And then you've got other people that are kind of trying to play defense, right? And then you've still got the bureaucrats that are looking at this as an inconvenient nuisance, and they're trying to figure out how they can push it off for 6 months before they retire until they get their next job and leave it for someone else to deal with. And clearly they're at risk.
Two questions. The first one, what will you...
Please say where you're from.
Excuse me, José is from France. All what you said about mobility just now is possible because the web. And I can do all what you said on the web with a PC or a Mac. So, because of the web, not because of the mobility. That's very different. Without mobility, I can do the same. And I first question. And second question, in your wonderful world of Apple-centric, do you really think you can forget Samsung?
I'll deal with both questions. The first question, in theory, you're right. You could have some multimedia and some transactional capabilities in a web application, and we thought that was going to happen 10 years ago. 10 years ago, there was a lot of expectation, optimism that we were going to see these very powerful applications. Okay, here's why it didn't happen. Because rich, powerful people don't use the web. Okay? That's why it doesn't happen. I see a lot of them. If you go and walk through the Four Seasons, Georges V in Paris, okay? You'll see people sitting with their iPads. They're not sitting and doing business intelligence reporting with their web browsers. In fact, we know who uses web browsers. It's the clerks, it's the analysts, it's the merchant, it's this white-collar class of analyst person. It's not the guy that owns the company, right? It's not the store manager. People, if I'm powerful enough to have 1,000 people work for me, you think I have to wait for anything? Ever? Right? If I'm that powerful, I have a person that's paid to wait. Analysts are paid to wait. Applications that run on the web might have a 30-second response time. Go talk to someone that makes $20 million a year and then wait 29 seconds before you answer each of their questions. And see how long you stay employed. Right? No one with power will wait 5 seconds for an answer to their question. They want it like that. And so the problem with this is nobody of consequence is using the web to do this, right? So think about a doctor. A doctor's a powerful person. A doctor's walking down the hospital, and you're the sales guy. You really think the doctor is going to sit down at a laptop computer and log in? It takes 4 minutes to log into Windows. They're not going to log into anything, right? So they don't have that kind of patience. The same is true with I met 200 billionaires in the past 2 years. 95% of them had an iPad. I never saw any of them use a laptop computer in front of me. Just doesn't happen, right? I mean, the dirty secret in our industry is even though we create software that runs on the web and runs on Windows, the people of consequence don't get the information through those interfaces. They're looking at paper, right? And that ultimately is the issue. Most people, right, doctors, customers, powerful people, store managers, executives, they've got an attention span and they'll wait to turn a page for about a second. They'll want to turn a page this fast and they'll wait about 2 seconds. And you can satisfy that with paper. Hence, marketing brochures, presentations, books, reports. Why do you think there's a laser printer in every single office in the world? Because who are they printing that shit for? Right? They're printing it for their boss. Their boss's boss, their boss's boss. Ever sit in a board meeting and see any board members sitting there interactively querying a laptop computer running web browsers? Because I'm not saying it couldn't happen or it doesn't happen 5% of the time. I'm just saying it's very uncommon. Generally, they're impatient. Right? Your annual report's printed. Why is the annual report printed? Right? Why is every annual report printed? Why are SEP files? Why were they printed forever? You know, from Julius Caesar all the way up to like 2 years ago, every powerful person in the history of the world got their information on a piece of parchment or a piece of paper. To Churchill, to Napoleon, you know, etc. They're all looking at something that's kind of printed or scribed by a slave or printed on a piece of paper or something like that. They look at it, they look at it, they look at it, they order, they say, conquer that thing, ship that thing, shut that thing down, bring me that. And you know what? They're not wrong, because if you can have 1,000 people work for you, why wouldn't you have 50 flunkies running back and forth to fetch the paper for you? Because if I have 50 people and they all sit at cubicles and they run queries that take 30 seconds and they all waste a year, what do I care? Right? I mean, what do I care if 50 people spend a year of their time? I don't care at all. Here's what I care about. I won't wait 29 seconds for that answer. And by the way, you wouldn't either. Not a single person in this room will wait 29 seconds for an answer in an interview. And that's the issue. The thing that's changed, changed fundamentally is, if I'm a 70-year-old guy and I wear glasses, I kind of like reading on an iPad, because I make the font bigger. So the CEO that has all the power, he also walks in with an iPhone, because it's kind of easier. You know, you ever use a keyboard on an iPhone? It's bigger than a keyboard on a BlackBerry. Try it. If you had to type in numbers, you would rather type on an iPhone than type on a BlackBerry. So in terms of human factors, the human factors on the multi-touch interface are better, and that's why the iPad's been successful with the rich and powerful, and also with people on the run, right? If I'm really powerful, I don't have to sit in the office. I'm sitting on my yacht. Why would I be sitting in the office? Right? Why would I? I'm not going to the office. So the point is, I want to be, you know, I'm using fax machines, I want stuff in my hand, I'm running around, I'm in front of a patient, I'm running in the hospital, I'm on the shop floor, I'm on the store floor, I'm with the customer. And the real problem, with the PC wave is laptop computers are heavy, nobody wants to carry them, their power runs down in 2 hours, the batteries die, I got to be close to the wall socket. These are like 3 painful constraints. I can't pinch and zoom. It's just a pain in the ass to do things quickly, whereas I put an iPad in your hand, I run around with it, it's everywhere, I look at it, I sit down. I can lean back in a couch, and I've seen it happen in a nice hotel. I lean back on a couch, I look like this, and I do this. This is how like powerful people want to do things. And so this is the first device in the history of the world that competes with paper, and the problem is not you couldn't do it with Windows or the web. The problem is people were doing it with paper, and paper is not an interactive dynamic medium, and hence you can't automate things for people that were delivered via paper in the past, because paper just doesn't work. That's why that's going on. With regard to your second question, Samsung. Samsung's a very powerful company. I think if you're going to pick any Far Eastern manufacturer to be successful, pick Samsung, Sony, Panasonic, you know, Toshiba. All these other companies are looking long in the tooth and frightening. Nintendo. I would be shorting all those stocks right now. But Samsung has got critical mass, and to a certain extent, because they're running the facility to spit out all those iPads. Right? That's why they would do it, and that's why they've got this interesting love-hate relationship with Apple. They do have scale. Having said all that, it's a software future, and so if I had to bet on a hardware company to manufacture hardware, I'd bet on Samsung over every other hardware company. But if I were trying to guess who's going to make all the money, I would say 80 cents out of the dollar is going to go to the software company, not to the hardware company at the end of the day, because they've got so many more levers to control the customer.
Microsoft?
Microsoft,
Software
no.
company.
What's the question?
Microsoft is a software company.
Yeah, but their software doesn't work. It doesn't work. They have no presence in the mobile sphere, right? Of the first 5 billion smartphones that are going to be on the planet within the next 24 months, not 1% of them will run on Microsoft software. And of the first 100 million tablet computers, not one is running Microsoft software. So, if you're looking at the mobile wave, right? Clearly, the companies that are the winners in the mobile wave are the mobile software companies, of which Google, Amazon, Apple,